Sorry. In answer to your question, yes, I would consider it. I have done research, and for me,
research how?
I've googled like sperm donation and things like that. No, not the person,
just the process.
But just the process. And what would it mean? Because for me, I'm at an age where I'm now 31. I've fortunately or unfortunately haven't managed to meet that person that makes my soul sing. You say that, but biologically...
There's no time limit.
But biologically we do know that after 30 it does get more difficult, and without going down another tangent, the point is, in my mind, I'm preparing myself so that if I do get to a point where I'm like, do you know what? I just need to do this because otherwise it's not too late, but it's too late. I have started looking at options. So yes, I would consider it. I'm not saying that's my first choice, but I would consider it.
Thank you very much. I like that we have a good balance. I can see you want to say something.
I agree with, trust me, and my premise is, as an African, marriage is not a necessity. And that is the biggest burden the African woman carries. You know, you need to marry, and the institutions that are propagating are very powerful institutions. You know, religion, culture. It's so much pressure. Not everybody. Marriage is not. It's a major commitment, and I know so many people who have opted for that option. I mean, they still want to raise kids. So I have a friend who's adopted kids, and she's doing great. And some have resorted to meeting guys. Maybe not. The only challenge I have there is if you're going to do that with the guy, he must know.
Yes.
And that's the only challenge I have where the guy doesn't know, and it's like they're scheming to, and I have a problem with that. But if everybody's in the know, why not? Because marriage is not for, and like I mentioned before, I said, look, if I was 30 today, there's a possibility maybe I wouldn't have married.
And
not because I'm in it, not because I'm not having a great time with the woman I'm with right now. 25 years in the next few months, I'm having a fantastic time. But I think for me, if I was 30 today, maybe my options, or maybe this is the historical part of me right now, maybe it would have been harder for me to meet that person that would fit into, because we all have an image of the kind of person we want to settle with. Maybe it would have been harder, because I look at the woman I have right now. She's been great for me, great for the children, and I've learned. I married when I was 26.
And have you been to
I've
her?
Learned.
Have you been the same? Can she say the same?
Anybody that married DJ Abass is a flanger for life.
I'm just going to move over to Yemi, right? Okay, so I've got a question for you. So I think we're going to flip things over quickly, and I want to talk about the women breadwinners here.
Okay.
And that's because in the 21st century, we're seeing that becoming more and more and more on an increase. It's increasing, and I'm not really sure why. Not that I don't know, but I'd like to hear from you guys in terms of why do you think we're starting to see the rise in women breadwinners in households?
I think you'd attribute that to the fact that now we can see their abilities shining. So where over the years down history, women have been suppressed. We haven't been able to see how truly valuable and how skilled and how important everything about a woman is to society. And I think now that women are coming out of that shell, as you said, they're able to display a lot more of the abilities that is really inside of them. And as a result of that, I think that should be championed. I think that should be celebrated. In terms of being a breadwinner, now, from my perspective, if you're married, it's one journey. You're a family together, and both of you with your children, you're going on a path that you're charting together. You have a common agreement. It shouldn't really matter who earns more than the other. If both of you are coming together for that commonality.
But that's assuming that you don't have the cultural values.
Yeah, but
it's so hard. At the end of the day,
that.
we are still Africans, we are Caribbeans, we're especially people from the black descendants. We tend to carry lots of baggages.
I understand that. And I think for everyone, what drives the way you see things is whatever your worldview is. If it's a theistic one, a non-theistic one, or scientific or whatever it is. Predominantly, I'm Christian. And from my own Christian way of upbringing, and as I've grown up as a young man to be more of a Christian man, there are fundamental things in there from what I've been learning in the faith that has guided me to be able to appreciate a lot more about everything the woman can bring to the table. Now, from someone who isn't raised up in any kind of theistic understanding, may look at things differently, or even cultures that don't even buy into that. You know, you may see things, no, predominantly guys only do all the work. Guys should earn more because if you don't earn more, your woman wouldn't respect you. Those things are still there, but you can't, I wouldn't say they're wrong. It's just the way things have always been. But for every one of us, I think we all have the different things that drive us. We have the things that, we have the foundation of who we are. And it's based on that you do what you do in life, that forms who you are in life and all those kind of things. And that, from my perspective, it's a non-issue as long as both parties have that understanding that we are on this journey together. Whatever we bring in is not for your benefit, it's not for my benefit, it's literally for our benefit.
So moving quickly into this.
Can I chip into that question, that particular
Absolutely,
question?
go ahead.
I agree and I disagree a bit with him. Now, like I was saying, I come back to cultural baggage that we're carrying. Whether we like it or not, in the society where we've grown, it's male-dominated. The assumption is the man is the provider.
Yeah.
Africans, black people are playing catch-up in this new dispensation of independence for women. Now, if you go, even in Europe, if you go to Scandinavia, in Scandinavia, Sweden, Switzerland, Denmark, those cultures have almost attained parity in terms of how men and women are positioned. Other parts of Europe are just catching up to that. America, in the Americas, they're just catching up. Africa is so far behind. So if you look at the institutions in Africa, the marriage institution, the bride price, it's still it is still very, very marriage and meeting is still very, very transactional. The women will say, he wants to marry me. Can he carry my load? Carry my load means, can he afford me?
Wow.
This, in some cultures, are still the predominant, and where if that becomes the bedrock on which any relationship is based, don't even let's go to marriage yet. Even dating, for some people, it's still very transactional. They look for a specific kind of guy that can afford to carry me. And once it starts like that, of course, it's going to lead into marriage. And that becomes the problem. So we are, as Africans, we are getting to that point where it's just beginning to flip for us. And that flip process will come with some kind of tremors. These are the tremors we're dealing with, where the African man still wants to be the Don Dada. He doesn't want to marry a lady boss, a woman that, that is, in fact, any more than him, God forbid. How's that going to happen? And some of the women also are having to deal with the challenges that come with that. It's a typical scenario. You're living in a household where the woman earns more. It's not her fault she has a great job. She's earning well. And if you earn well, you want to live well. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with any more than your husband. But then culturally, how do you deal with it?
So that's where
20 seconds. 20 seconds. She decides to buy a good car, right? Typical real life situation that the husband cannot afford. They are going to church on Sunday, right? Actually, he's the one driving it, but it's not his own. People feed into this. These are the issues that a lot of our men are still struggling with in the community. But it starts from the transactional mentality.
But DJ, do you not think that transactional thing has got to do with the way not necessarily, and the economy of, I'm speaking about our own country, Nigeria specifically, where as a woman it is harder to get into, let's say, the workforce than it is for a man.
It's not the economy, it's the mentality. The economy can be bad, but if the general mentality is women are equal with men, then it would be 50-50.
But it isn't. Women are not equal to men. And so what then happens is, because men have more and are more in okay, whatever it is. Yes. So that makes a woman or the women there, think, well, for me to date you, I need you to be able to take care of my needs. Because I can't do it.
I agree with you there. Totally, I do agree with you. It's environmental more than anything else. Your environment conditions you. Because some of those women and some of those men ultimately now end up in societies where there's a higher level of equality. And when the woman starts to come into her own, some of those men cannot deal with it.
Become uncomfortable with it.
Because they are still carrying the baggage of... We may live in UK, primarily we are still Africans for those who were raised there. And that's a challenge. Look at America. Typical example. In the last 5 to 10 years, over 50 American nurses, or Nigerian nurses living in America, have been killed by their spouses. 50, not 1 or 2, 50 have been killed. And if you trace it back, These were the homicide, killed by their spouses. And if you look at the typical scenarios, mostly these were women that were imported by their husbands.
Then
The women came into their own, started earning more, and realized that, look, you can't be taking my salary now. And it got to a point where the man is now thinking, God, why is this happening to me?
So I guess the question is, and I'm going back to what Sharniya said at the beginning, it's about, it might not even be about the 21st century woman. It feels like it's the 21st century man that just needs to, we get it.
Specifically to Africans now.
So I get it. And I'm sure it's pretty much similar in the Caribbeans as well. There will be some similarities, right? Now, the question is, how then do we get a balance? Because it feels like the 21st century woman, after all, is not a bad woman.
Time. It's evolving.
Well, I get it, but it feels from this conversation that the 21st century woman is actually bae. She's jollof rice.
I love it.
Right?
Can I say something real quick? I think I don't disagree with what you're saying, DJ Abass, but I think the one thing that I'll pull out of everything is there seems to be individuality.
There is.
So it's literally the woman, the man. If there isn't that commonality, it would always be that situation where the woman would always feel suppressed, and the man, when the woman is earning more, may feel, I don't know, intimidated, for lack of a better word. I actually, from my own experience, when we've both come together to understand that this journey we're together on this journey, literally every resource is ours. It works.